Thursday, April 15th. It was the first time that Peterson and Goodell had spoken to each other since September when everything went down. So that's crazy. And just a little side note on Adrian Peterson. If you're one of these people who thinks that it is actually about the money, stop lying to yourself. It is about Minnesota and the Vikings and Adrian Peterson wanting to play for literally any other team in the NFL but us. So accept that. He doesn't want to be here for any reason. It's not we just need to pay him money and then he'd be happy. No, there is no circumstance where he will be happy being a Minnesota Viking. That is not to say that there is no circumstance where he will be playing as a Minnesota Viking. Two different things. But time for that on a different episode. Far as Johnny Football Manziel goes, he's still in rehab as far as I've heard. However, he is expected to be back with the team for a workout program on April 20th. Well, of course, because that's just the funniest date that it could be on. So we'll have to see if he does in fact get out of rehab and if he's at the workout program on the 20th of April, or if he's still in rehab, or if he's out celebrating the 20th of the fourth month of the year. I don't know. We'll have to see what Johnny's doing. But that's the Johnny news. As far as NFL draft goes, pro days are over with, so now all we've got left is some interviews between players and teams should the teams wish for that, and then the actual draft coming up in 3 weeks and 1 day. Now, as far as the draft goes, I just want to touch real quick on some basic draft strategy before we discuss our draft. Before we start discussing our draft needs and predictions next week. Now, just some really simple basic things to remember when doing a mock draft or trying to project a pick, or even just assessing what a good pick would be and what wouldn't be a good pick. Keep in mind that most teams play versus their division all year round. That means, as a Vikings fan, for example, we have an added priority on pass rush and pass coverage because we play in a division that has Stafford and Rodgers at quarterbacks, and Jordy Nelson and Randall Cobb and Calvin Johnson and Golden Tate and Alshon Jeffrey and great receivers. So, knowing that, our team automatically has pass rushers and coverage people, or coverage skill sets, rather, valued higher than a team like, say, the Indianapolis Colts, who, while there are good receivers in that division, there are no good passing teams in that division other than the Colts. The Houston Texans aren't a good passing team. They're good at running the ball, and they're good at defense. Jags and the Titans aren't good at anything, so it's hard to say. Maybe that isn't the best example, but you get the idea. So anyway, that's one thing to keep in mind. And another thing to keep in mind is the type of scheme your teams run. Now, this is usually a little more important on defense as well than on offense, but it does apply both ways. If you run a 3-4 defense as opposed to a 4-3 defense, that completely changes which linemen you value and don't, and which linebackers you value and don't, based off of the specific skill sets that you're looking for, because you're looking for different skills out of those players when you're running a 3-4 than you would be out of those players if you're running a 4-3. So, basic things like that are things to keep in mind whenever mock drafting or trying to form your own opinion, at least based on who do I want my team to draft. Is this a good pick? Is this a bad pick? And then the final thing would be to be able to know and project and play the actual draft itself well. Just because you have a position of need and there's a great player at that position on that board doesn't mean that's the guy you should take. If you're looking for new starters at 3 positions, you need to take the starter that won't be available anymore at that one. Maybe that isn't your biggest need, but that's the one you need to take with that first pick. And then the second one and the third one, you maybe take a slightly lesser player on your board at that position. However, it's still someone that you feel good and confident about that can come in and play right away. So, but anyway, a little bit of basic draft strategy there for you. Starting to run overtime. I'm going to have to wrap this up. Final NFL tidbit, there will be a ruling in the Aaron Hernandez murder trial, coming up sometime very soon. Closing arguments were yesterday and today, and it has gone to jury now, so should be a decision sometime in the near future on that. And in just a tiny bit of WWE news, diva April Mendoza, or April Brooks, whatever her real name is now, better known as AJ Lee, or just plain AJ, decided to retire from WWE and in-ring competition as of last week. She was a great diva in the Divas division, a wonderful performer, and the Divas division will definitely miss her and be weaker without her. So thank you, AJ. We will miss you, those of us who are WWE fans. All right, well, like I said, we went a little overtime here, but not too bad. Let's squeeze in Ball's deep thought of the day, and then we'll send you on your way here. Now, again, as far as this final Ball's deep thought of the day segment goes, for both this week and from now on, I would really appreciate feedback, comments. Let me know what you think, what your thought on Ball's deep thought of the day is. Do that at Twitter, at BDST Show. Do that on Facebook, Scotty-Ball. Alright, so our deep thought for today is this, which I was inspired by both Major League Baseball and the NCAA men's basketball on this topic. Now, Major League Baseball has changed several rules, and they're still discussing potential future rule changes. The NCAA men's basketball is discussing potential rule changes. NFL is always tweaking and changing their rules. The NBA is always reassessing their rules. The NHL just kind of does stuff whenever I guess they feel like doing stuff. Like they're a little different when it comes to it. But anyway, all these people either changing rules, talking about changing rules, or, could stand to maybe change some rules. So anyway, here's the deep thoughts. Which sport, or sports, if you really can't pick one, but try and just pick one, okay, if you get a comment back, even though I can't just pick one. Which sport is in the biggest danger, needs the most fixing? Like I said, it could be college basketball, Major League Baseball, NHL, NBA, anything. Which sport needs the most fixing? And what would you do to fix it? If someone lets you have the power to implement a rule or make a change, what would you do? That one you can have more than one, okay? Now, since it's my show, I'm going to do two. But you can only do one. Now, do two if you want. Do as many. Do every sport if you want. Doesn't matter to me. Just participate. That's what I want. But anyway, my primary one would be baseball. But since I have a simpler, quicker fix for college basketball, I'm going to throw that one out there first. So, that's right. I have a fix for college basketball. And I got to be honest with you, I think it's a great idea. But seriously, no, I do actually think this is a very sound idea, and I don't see why this wouldn't work. But so, college basketball wants more points, more shots, more action, stuff like that. They don't want scores in the 40s and 50s and clocks being run down in the half court and things like that. So, I have a simple suggestion for it, whereas their idea is to take their 35-second shot clock and just cut it down. That's wrong, okay? You keep it at 35 seconds. You need to. It's college. It's very important. Out of that 35 seconds, you're allotted 10 seconds to advance the ball past the half-court line. Correct? Correct. So how come whenever you have a possession that starts on your own side of the half-court line, why do you still get that 10 seconds on the shot clock for advancing the ball? If you get an offensive rebound, if a ball goes out of bounds and you're inbounding on your half of the court, if there's any possession that you get that starts on your side of the court with the hoop you're shooting at, take the 10 seconds off of the shot clock that you award them to advance the ball. A 25-second half-court shot clock. Keep the 35-second full-court shot clock. We need that, okay? There's a lot of full-court press. There's a lot of zones. Players aren't quite as skilled, as smart, as talented, as good. We need that 35 seconds for a full-court shot clock. But in possessions that start in the half-court, why do we not have a half-court shot clock? Why do we give them the full 35 seconds to reset up and rerun their play after an offensive rebound? Do they really need 35 seconds after an offensive rebound to pass the ball out to the arc, hold it for 10 seconds, 15 seconds, and then start passing it around to beat the zone or do some dribble penetration? No, we don't. It's ridiculous, okay? That's where you start. Nothing drastic, okay? Nothing drastic, nothing severe. Just something simple and something sensible. So boom, college basketball. Half-court shot clock, 25 seconds. Full-court shot clock, 35 seconds. Make it happen. And then my final thoughts here on the Balls Deep Thought of the day, and then I got to get going. Sorry for always running overtime. But my final fix-it deep thought of the day is on baseball, because everybody's scared about baseball. Baseball purists are scared. They're willing to change. Like, oh my gosh, what do we do? Our sport's dying. Nobody's watching. It's boring. We got to fix it, finally. Okay, what do we do? Well, I have some much more subtle suggestions than all the foot in the box and the have a clock on everything crap that you're trying to do right now. We keep the foot in the box rule. I do actually like that. Okay, that and it kind of coincides a little bit, but well, actually no, it doesn't. But I like the foot in the box rule. Okay, we keep that. But here's the pitching rule that I want to throw in. It has nothing to do with a pitch clock or time or anything like that. Okay, here's my pitching rule change that they need to implement. Each team, with the exception of injury, of course, injury is an exception to this rule. Okay, but with the exception of injury, each team can only have a maximum of 3 pitchers pitch in any one given inning, meaning only 2 pitching changes can occur in any one given inning. So you can have the guy who starts the inning, or that could be a new guy. Okay, that doesn't need to be the guy from the last inning, but regardless, you have the new guy or the old guy start the inning. You can bring in a specialist, and then you can bring in a closer for that inning. But that's it. Barring injury, you can't bring in 5 pitchers to face 5 different hitters because they're all good at one specific thing, and these hitters have one specific weakness. And no, that's a bunch of crap. Okay, pitchers got to pitch to the hitters. Hitters got to hit the pitchers. Okay, play the game. I don't want to take out any kind of strategy or anything like that. I don't want anybody to not have a job because they can't get used now. I'm just simply saying, make a freaking rule so that he can't have 10, so that the managers can't have 6 different pitchers in an inning. 3 different pitchers. The guy that starts, the next guy that comes in, and if you need it, the guy who closes it. That's it. Okay? However, I do agree with my baseball expert friend, who we'll just call Mr. Strongarm at the moment, that the biggest problems in baseball and the most effective ways to fix the problem in baseball and viewership and entertainment value is not in any of the rules, but rather in improving, modernizing, and maximizing the presentation value of the product on TV and other media sources that you might watch a game on. That is what Major League Baseball needs to focus on. Better cameras, better commentary, better presentation of the product on TV. The NFL has tailored its game to fit the format of being broadcast on TV over the years, and they're phenomenal at it. The NBA is pretty good at it. Frickin' NHL doesn't even have a frickin' TV contract some years, and they're better at it than baseball is, for crying out loud. Baseball needs to figure out how to present the product better in a more entertaining and interesting way on television. That's what they need to do, not focus on changing how the game is played. Misplaced efforts, good intentions. But then again, that could be the motto for Major League Baseball, if you think about it. All right, well, that's got to do it for this week's show. Thank you so much for tuning in. I hope you find all my picks, predictions, and comments tonight to be enlightening, educational, or at least somewhat entertaining. Thanks to Northern Lights Radio at WNLMradio.com for carrying the show here every Wednesday night at 9 p.m. Central Standard Time. I am Scotty Ball, and I will catch y'all next week. Good night, everybody.